Welcome, welcome. It is Bags of Goodies. Yes, it is. And I'm Janita Spencer. I am the chair for Bags, being a grandparent support. When the bags of life get too heavy, we are here. We are a 501c nonprofit that provides a website, which is bagsgoodlife.org. Let me say that again, bagsgoodlife.org, that provide information, resources, connections, education, and most of all, advocacy. And that's what this is to this evening. I am very honored and I'm very blessed to have two grandparents with our first group. Bags provide information resource for grandparents who are raising their grandchildren and for grandparents who are estranged. But what I want to do tonight is to most so concentrate on the first group. And you may say, well, what's so different? Well, I will tell you, if you live in North Carolina, back in 2020, there was 90,000 children that went into kinship care, which was aunts, uncles, and grandparents. I will tell you today we are at 238,000 to our knowledge of children going into kinship care. 87,000 grandparents that's documented are raising their grandchildren. Now, I began this being involved as a foster parent and working with grandparents, and I realized that there was a lot of things grandparents were not getting. They were not getting the same type of support as foster parents. However, research has said over and over again that to when parents cannot provide for their children or be there for their children, that it is best to put them with a family member. It reduces trauma, it keeps stability. And so, even though research says this, nobody's really helping grandparents. And those that seek help have to jump through a lot of hoops and things. But I don't want you to hear that from me. So I want to give a big welcome to two very special people that I have this evening because united, we make an impact. And so we're united to give voices to grandparents. We got to start talking because what is hidden cannot be helped. So I want to welcome Tammy Simmons. Welcome, Miss Simmons, to
Thank you.
Bags
Thank
of
you.
Goodies. Appreciate you so much. And welcome Clifton Wilkins. I like that Clifton Wilkins because my maiden name is Janita Clifton.
Thank you for having me.
Welcome, welcome, welcome. Now, we're going to be kind of doing it formal, informal. I'm going to ask you some questions, but let me say this. One of the things about bags is that we're very transparent and we speak directly from the heart. So I'm going to do a disclaimer right now. Miss Janita has a habit of messing up names and not pronouncing words correctly. So, most of the people that see me on Bags of Goodies know that, and it works for me. So if you're ready to get started, we know we're here to talk about grandparents raising grandchildren. And the two of you all are raising your grandchildren or grandchild. Is that correct?
Yes.
Correct. Yes.
Okay. Now, it doesn't matter. I'm going to ask a couple of questions, but you may want to interject and add something extra to it. But I'm going to kind of go through and ask the most important thing that I'm hearing from grandparents, and that's why these questions have evolved. And that is, and either one of you can speak first, what was the biggest concern or fear that you had when you first took in your grandchild?
Miss Simmons, you can go first.
Okay. Thank you. Um, I guess let me give you the reason why I got them, so you can know the emotions that went into it. When I had to get my granddaughter, my son was just graduating high school. It was my last one graduating. My daughter she graduated the year before, and my house was about to be an empty nest. And so you have your mind set up what your life, what you were going to do. So about 3 months after my granddaughter was born, my daughter just could not handle being a mother. I got a phone call one night from the police station. If I would come get her, my granddaughter, they was going to put her in foster care. Of course, the reaction was, I want to get my grandbaby. There was not a question about that. So then that night when I got her and I got thinking about things and realized, okay, I took the next day off for child care. They realized over the months and whatever, this was going to be permanent. So the fear was, or the emotional part was, my life is changing, not in the direction I thought it was going to change. And then the fear was, how am I going to get help? How am I going to get help now? You know, because you're there for your kids, and how you going to have, who's going to be there for you? The mother's not there, the father's not there. So I got in touch with social services and they helped me with child care. And then it's hard when you have to start over at an age when you're not planning to. And then, like I said, all the emotional stuff. And sometimes I felt like I needed therapy. I never got in. I had friends I relied on. And some people who don't have that, that's something they need. When you go through this transition, if you don't have anyone, you need someone to talk to.
Yes.
It's completely life changing. And throughout the race with her, the struggles with it wasn't a struggle once I got childcare. Once I got that, then the financial stuff started coming in. And it was just completely life changing. So there was a lot of emotional fears there, what I'm gonna do. And then once I got myself settled on one playing field, then something else comes up with now school age. How am I going to maneuver that with work? Jobs these days don't really care if you got a child, you need to be at work. So it was just so many layers of change going on.
Okay. And so, Mr. Wilkins, some of the things that Ms. Simmons is saying, do you relate, or was some of those kind of concerns and fears in your process, or something different?
Well, the biggest concern I had when I got her was one of me and my at the time wife. We was all our children were grown, so it was a new kid coming into the house. My biggest concern was how could I get her through high school and get her educated, because she came from a place where education was not a big priority. So the biggest thing was trying to get her here and educate her. Well, because the way we got her was basically they just brought her here on a Thursday and said, if y'all don't take her, she's gonna go in foster care. So we basically didn't have too much of a choice, but it was either let her come here or go to foster care. So we decided that we was going to do the best we can.
Now, I've talked to grandparents. As I said, BAGS is an advocacy for grandparents who are raising their grandchildren. And some of the fears that you guys mentioned about, I was having another plan in life and then this happened. Um, they came and we know we couldn't let our babies go into foster care. And the fear, we just took them on. But once you got your grandbabies, did you seek any kind of resources? Did you try to get help? If you did, what type of resources and what happened in the process, Ms. Simmons? What happened when you reached out and tried to get the support that you need to take care of your grandchild?
I have a wonderful caseworker who's no longer with Wake County. She was a big support. She really was.
It's okay. It's okay.
And talking to her, she did everything she could. She gave me all types of information, but even her hands was tied in certain areas like finances. She can't make them give me money because the system don't give grandparents money. My income was a little bit over the limit, so I couldn't get food stamps. Now I'm a single person, single person. But I did get the WIC, and I did get the child care, and the things that the kinship program, they were wonderful helps. But anything directly from the system, I guess, it was hands off. It was no way grandmother, you can't get it, but if I was a complete stranger, could get it. And after a while, you adjust. You're gonna make do, take care of your grandbaby. But the initial shock of not knowing, of knowing that no one's willing to step up in like the financial area, just for their needs,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
and they don't need much, but we made it through. But I was my wonderful with the he has a companion who helps him. But your heart goes out to those parents or grandparents who may not have that extra nudge that we have. I've known people who have it harder than I got. So I'm grateful.
Thank you, thank you. And that was one of the things that bothered me over the years as I talked with grandparents. And I'm coming to you, Mr. Wilkins, was that as a foster parent, I got help with food, I got help with clothes, I got help with therapy when the babies needed therapy. And you're right. Why do the grandparent have to jump through the hoops or meet all this criteria? I got one grandparent who got 8 grandkids, but they counted her Social Security, they counted her death benefits of 2 of the kids, they counted her pension. So when she did get food stamps, she got $310 for 8 kids. So you're like, if this research is saying for the last several years that this is the best place, then why aren't we helping with the blessed place? Because I'm gonna tell you this: there's no foster parents out there. There aren't, not really in North Carolina. So let me ask you the same question: what type of resources did you try to get access to, or what did you feel like you needed? And if you did get it, great. What were they? And if you didn't, what is something that you really, and this is both of you, really feel like grandparents really need as far as support and resources, Mr. Wilkins?
When I got into this, when they brought it here, then I was introduced to Tony Croddock, and Tony Croddock came in and he started showing me anything that was out there for me. If it was out there and Tony knew about it, Tony opened the door for me. He became like, he would call me and tell me things that wasn't going on that I need to know about in the kinship program, and where I met a lot of good people. And like Tony basically helped me. Now, what I could get, Tony helped me get it. But when it come to the like food stamps and stuff, they bring them to you, and then they say if you don't take them, they go into foster care. But we can't give you no food for them. So if you on a fixed income, which I'm not, thank God. If I was, then now I got a child coming in. I got to feed. Some depends on what the age is. They can eat out of house and home. And they said, well, you can't get no food because you make too much money. But then they bring the child in and say, well, that's just part of it. That's not fair. But now they do give you the insurance. They do pay for aftercare, and they give you like like $100 and some for the buy clothes. They give you that, which is not enough when the clothes going up, but it's something. But if I could ask for anything to change, I would say, first of all, food stamps for these children, and you should go a little bit more on the expense account for the raise them, especially when we keeping them from going into the system, which is going to cost a whole lot more. So why can't you give it to us since we doing it? But they won't do it. But if it wasn't, and I say this, if it wasn't for Tony going beyond, not just the little, but the beyond, if it wasn't for him, I would have been in a serious situation.
I think that's awesome because you made a key point there. I was reading some data from Grand Family United saying that grand families, particularly grandparents taking in their grandchildren, is saving the United States anywhere from $6.5 billion in costs. They're saving tax dollars. They're saving it. So if we're saving $6.5 billion, then why can't you help us? Why do we have to go through the hoops? Now, some of my grandparents talk to me about, they say, well, you can get help if you make the child a ward of DSS or a ward of the courts. And then they can be considered a family by themselves, and then they can get help. But most grandparents say, I don't want to do that. I don't want my grandchild even knowing that's what happened, you know, to have to do that. So, what I also feel like, what do you hear, what have you heard, or what have you experienced that you really feel is a barrier that needs to be removed?
Barrier that need to be removed is the amount of foods that they can give you. Now they need to remove that because my income, you bring no grandparent want to raise their grandchildren. You would hope that you didn't have to. You hope you raise yours good enough where they can raise them themselves. But if you get tossed in this situation like I was, because my son is in prison and my granddaughter mother's in prison, so I had this was thrown on me and we had to deal with, we had to adjust. So we had to make adjustments on from our account money that we spent on ourselves. We had to spend it on her, and we had to, actually feed her and educate her and school stuff she needs for school stuff. The only thing I can say about that is that school supplies, they do help you with those. Now that they do, they give you school supplies, which I wouldn't have knew about if it wasn't for Tony. Um, and they help you with a lot of other things like summer programs and stuff like that. But things like that are good. But when it comes down to a monthly living expenses, I think your monthly living expenses need to be increased, and food stamps should be, it should be a allotment of food stamps. Now, the good thing about this is I am actually in the foster care program right now to become a foster parent. And what they doing for what I have been in the classes and seen what they doing for foster parents, it's like, okay, so I can take in someone's child and you will give me this much a month because I'm taking in, but I'm taking in my own child. So you're basically saying, okay, you should do it. It's your job to do it. No, it's not. So I say the same amount that I give for raising a foster child, I should get for raising a child that you brought to me. I don't see a difference.
How you feel about that, Miss Simmons?
I totally agree with him. Um, I, I, I don't know why it's a difference in it, other than the fact that you're willing for your to take care of the child. Because if they felt that way, then like it's your responsibility now, there would be no children in foster care anyway. It should be, it's always, they got families, it should be somebody else's responsibility. But it's not that way.
I think
So
a lot of families are frightened because they hear stories that there aren't no support. I have, this is in other counties now with bags. We do things in Johnston and county as well. And I have a grandfather that's taking care of his 86-year-old mother. He got his, and he had a grandson that he got called about, ready to take him in, but they found out, and he's 72, but they found out when he was 31, he had a drug charge. So they are rather saying, no, you can't have your grandson. He works, he take care of his mom. It's almost like the system is kind of twisted in a way. One, you don't have families that will, but when you have families that do, you take them through, if this makes sense, you take them through all these hoops and stuff. Now, I'm not saying every grandparent can raise a child. I went my first year to a nursing home to take some gifts to, and I do this Christmas thing called bags, boxes, and bows. When I got to the nursing home, I thought I was in the wrong place. But the lady came to the door, and yes, she had her grandson in the nursing home. It was a private owned nursing home, and her daughter was trying to get her life together, get rehabilitated. She had the baby, but she did sit down and was very honest. She had diabetes, she had memory lapse, and those types of things. But if she had support and a worker to work with her, like you two have said over several times, there are programs out there like Kia, kinship care programs. But I will tell you, unfortunately, every county doesn't have it. I look for that in my rural areas. grandmother on a colostomy bag, 15-year-old daughter, and when we pull up, she's out there with a bunch of boys. Now the fear is she going to bring a child in? It's a lot going on, but I want to twist a little bit and ask you about the emotional, mental part, because we know the finances, we got to have it. But I'm hearing grandparents are saying that, nobody's helping me in the school system. I have children in the school system. I'm not understanding when they talk about IEPs. I'm not understanding the homework that's coming in. I'm not understanding. I don't know how old is your baby, Miss Simmons?
I have one ninth grader, 14, and one 11.
Okay, so on our website, we do have like therapists and stuff who are also certified parent advocates who will go with you to a meeting, who will go in with you to programs to help you know your rights, because sometimes kids get labeled really quickly, and parents are told, particularly grandparents. My grandparents in their 70s and 80s, they are told what the child needs. They're told, and they don't think they have any say, but you do. But homework, they're saying, Miss Janita, I don't even know how to begin to help them with their homework. And then the child gets angry, they feel embarrassed. My teenagers right now is my focus, is one of them, because grandparents they're going through the crisis of growing up. And now you have not only your teenager, but you have society. Do either one of you have teenagers? How are you working that out? What things are you doing? Do you have set rules? Do you not have set rules? Or what's something you could share with a grandparent that have a teenager?
Mr. Clifton, you want to go? I can.
You go first.
Um, well, it depends on the child too. Okay. So my two are totally different. My oldest granddaughter, she's a little bit more responsible and, limits her time, and she's good for the technology, for the online stuff. My youngest one, and I don't know if it's because she's younger and I'm tired, I give her a little more space. So she's on it more. But then when she's act out, I have to use it as a disciplinary thing. So to be honest with you, about a month ago, emotions and everything's going crazy. I have a good neighbor. She's their godmother, good support system. So now I'm to the point I'm about to lose it. I call her. She came over there and she took the device that I've had for 30 days. The first hour, the first day, my youngest grandma, she's 11, she had the biggest emotional breakdown. You can see the spirits coming out of her body. It was awful. Technology, we have got to put a grip on it. And I take the blame for not having a more tighter leash on her. After her 30 day, and after the first week, she was like, maybe the first couple days, Grandma, you know what? I was addicted to that iPad. She realized it when she didn't have it, and all the emotion that she had when it was taken away. So when she got it back, you have limits, you got 2 hours a day on it. And it's working.
Oh,
but some days when you first get into it, for grandparents, some days when you're tired, as long as they're doing good in school, they're not bothering you think it's okay. Because it gives us a moment to cook, gives us a moment to rest, gives us a moment to breathe. And we think it's okay. I blame you. But in reality, it's not.
Yes. It's pros and
But
cons.
it took it to the point of her having to use it as a disciplinary tool. And when I did, the breakdown she had, I can't even describe it to you. So with the technology, and it's a lot we have to do with trying to raise this younger generation. And earlier you talking about homework. Yeah, I think I'm a somewhat smart person, but the homework they bring home, I look at, and I work in the school system, and I look at it, I'm like, why are they teaching you how to get 1+1 this way? It's a much easier way to do it.
My grandchildren, same thing as they do.
But then at school, they don't show it the way they want them to show it. They don't get credit for it. And it's I don't that's
it's something else. We can't even help. My husband sat down with my grandson, and he the only thing he ate, he's like, "That ain't how my teacher do it. No,
Mhm.
Grandpa, that ain't how she do it. But she need to come on over here."
Yeah. And actually, when I did show them the easiest way to do it, they get the answer. Now, so if you have to go back and put it in all those circles,
Yes,
if you got to put in all those circles and those squares, you do that. But do it this way to get your answer. So you'll be calm. They get frustrated because
yes.
the process is complicated. And once again, when they get home, and it's just hard some days with the homework, you gotta just make time for it.
And that's the hard part, making time, especially if you're working. Are you working? What about you, Mr. Wilkins? Because you have how old is your baby?
12, ought to be 13,
12,
ought to be
13.
13. But
Oh,
I
you got
got
a
her
little teenager.
I got her when she was 6.
Mhm.
So she came to live with me when she was 6. And I agree with Miss Tammy, that homework, man, I don't know how to do it. I don't know how to do it. And when you had these when they having these the EOG tests, they don't got to show their work then. They just got to get the right answer.
Exactly.
So
Exactly.
I don't understand that. You're right. 1+1 ain't 2 anymore. It's circles and graphs. I don't know how to do it. So again, I always give praise to Tony. He set me up with a tutoring system, so I got a tutor,
All
and the
right.
tutor comes in and she tried to help her.
And so and this is the thing. Any grandparents that's listening to this bags of goodies, food insecurity, homework, help with homework is a major thing on the list that grandparents talk about, and housing, not having enough income for clothing. Sometimes the school have things they want them to do. You can't afford to pay for it. So you're not alone. You're not alone in this process at all. Now let's go back a little bit. Miss Simmons, if you sat in front of the government and they said, okay, we've got about $1 billion right now that's going to be allocated. What are one or two things you would tell them they need to do with that money for grandparents?
Okay.
And it don't have to be money. Just if you
Right.
could talk to them and just tell them this is what has to change when grandparents taking their grandchildren. This needs to change.
One thing right now that I'm in the process of procrastinating about, you need legal help, not a resource. I love people and I love their resources. I need a lawyer to sit down in front of me that's already paid for to help me get these documents straight for either custody or safety protection or trust or wills. Right now, if I could get his attention, he could send a lawyer to me, give me whatever I need legally, that would be a burden off me. I've been trying to do a trust because for everything I have to go to my granddaughters, my house and everything, because if something happened to me, I mean, the mom and my son would probably sell it.
Mm,
But I don't want that to happen. All my insurance money is going to them, so I need to find someone over there if something happened to me to get them to help them with that. So right now, my top priority right now, because we've had them so long, we don't kind of smooth out all the hard stuff. But right now, my struggle is legal help to get my will and my trust done for them.
I do. You're right. That's number 4 on the list. Legal support for grandparents in North Carolina. Mr. Wilkins.
Um, in my case, if I could talk to the governor, I would I would say that he need to do something about locking up men, black men, white men, period. Men need to be in these children's lives, and maybe a lot of them wouldn't have to be into these systems of having to go live with their grandparents. They need role models. So I would think that you need more men need to be doing jobs that kids are not able, that women are doing. A lot of women are taking, it's 90% women taking in their grandchildren. Men just sit back. I'm one of the few that um, had mine, and had to go through this. So um, I don't have a lot of issues because I got a man voice when I talking to her. So she kind of understand that I'm very firm on what I'm saying, and I don't have a lot of issues with her behavior and things like that. But I also look at, you know, the emotional toll of having them separated from their biological parents and stuff. That's more of an emotional toll than anything, you know. So I would honestly tell them that, listen, you need to make it so that a lot of these men get out of jail and become hopefully role models to their kids. That's
Yes.
the only thing I would tell them in the situation that I'm dealing with. Now, when it comes to legal stuff, right now, she's 12. My job. Luckily, I got insurance. I mean, they state give you insurance for her till she's 18. So I haven't had any real legal issue problems that I can say I have with her right now because she's just 12.
I think you're doing wonderful. I do have grandparents that do want legal support, but from a different perspective. A lot of grandparents have kept their grandchildren for 5, 6, and 8 years, and then they lose them to their parents, who are not really able in some situations to take the children. But what I believe is that if we keep talking and we keep coming together as grandparents and bringing in more grandparents and organizing support groups, because one of the things you guys have both said over and over is that I would not have made it without the support of my worker or the support of Mr. Tony. We have to bring back the village. I strongly believe, and the organization believes, it takes a village to raise a child. It takes a village to raise a child. And Bags being a grandparent support is trying to bring in volunteers, trying to bring in more people to reunite the village. Now, as we almost get close, I want each of you to think about, what would you tell a grandparent who gets that grandbaby dropped off at their door? What is something that you wish somebody had told you, or that you want to share as a nugget for a grandparent who gets their grandchild for the first time in the beginning? Either one of you, what would you say, or how could you help them?
I take this one first, Tammy. I take this one. When you have your grandchild dropped off at your front door, you you don't know what to do because you go from being able to go as you please to now having to start all over. When I had my son, I was in my 20s. Now I'm in my 50s. It is not, I can't run and play. I can't do all those things no more. I can try, but I'm not hurting myself. So it's one of those things you love makes you do it. That's the only reason you do it. It ain't no reason you do it, but love is the reason why you do it. You love the child unconditionally, and it's kind of hard to take your grandchild and close the door
Mm.
when you really want to. You really want to close the door. You really don't want to do it. I ain't doing it because I just like I open up, hey, I want to have a grandchild to raise. No, I did not want to do this, but I do it because I love her. Love is the reason why you do it. The only reason you are taking your grandchildren at the age we are is because you love them more than, in my honest opinion, you love them more than the parents do.
And you do. And I would tell the grandparent when they first get them. Now, my babies were younger; they was only like 3 months old,
Mm.
and so which probably be hard because you had to go through all that baby stuff again. They weren't independent for anything. And I couldn't wait till she started walking. I couldn't wait till she got potty trained. It's hard. But whatever age, if someone come to your door and say, "Here's your grandchild," take a deep breath, hug that baby, and find you someone to talk to. Find you your best friend, your enemy, anybody to talk. Somebody that's positive. Find a positive person and talk it out. Um, that's what helped me. I did have my neighbor We've been best friends. We are best friends. And she was there for me and just helped me through it till I got in touch with social services, and then we went from there. Because I got her at night from the police station, and I had to go to work the next day. So, you know, it was scary. So just the first thing you gotta find somebody to talk to get you to the
Can I,
next day. If
can I
you get
piggyback on
next
that?
day, one day at a time.
Can I piggyback on something she said too? You also got to know the children parent what they was into, because you need to know what's in the kid's system, like the drugs that the parents might have been on, which cause a lot of behavior issues. You got to know, it's like a detox. You got kids that, like my granddaughter, when I got her, they diagnosed her with asthma because she was always around weed smoke. So once she got away from the weed smoke, the asthma went away. So you got to know what the parents was into, because you need to know what's in the kid's system. And you got to find out that that's causing a lot of the behavior issues, anger, uh, they won't sit still, stuff like that. That's because what the parents was into. So that's something that you're gonna, and you said a psychiatrist, you can go see a psychiatrist, but psychiatrists can talk to the kids, but you still got to deal with it. How do you deal with it? So many ways you can't deal with it. Being in foster parents, I learned now, you really can't deal with it. You got to, the foster care system wants you to let the kids come in your house and take over it. And that's the system that you got to play. That's the hand you got dealt. That's the hand you got to play.
I probably have foster parents, Mr. Wilkins.
It sucks. I tell you that the rules are crazy.
Yeah. And two, and with my girls, they're older now, and then they do have this thing. I wish I had both parents. And like I say, when in my other group that I picked up, you gotta give them room to talk, give them room to share what they feeling, and let them know their feelings are legitimate. And I tell them, I wish you did too. But I tell you what, but you're not gonna let that cripple you. You're gonna be beautiful. You're beautiful. You'll be successful. Those are their mistakes. I have a best friend of mine. I used to tell her, I wish, so I wish I had the parents to teach them something, you know. But she told me, she said, Miss Simmons, their parents, they are teaching them something. The parents are teaching them what not to do. Their parents are teaching them the consequences of their action. And I never looked at it that way again since she told me that.
Wow. Wow, this is good. This is so helpful because, as I said, we're at 238,000 just in North Carolina of children going into kinship care. 87,000 grandparents. And as we are sitting here talking this evening, someone's getting a grandbaby dropped off at their door right this minute. Someone's getting a teenager grandchild at their door. Someone's going to the police station to pick up their grandchild. You are not alone, grandmamas and grandpapas. One of the things Mr. Wilkins talked about was knowing where they're coming, what happened, knowing the parent, knowing the situation. I have an adopted brother who was found, and all him and his siblings have autism, but they suspect they got into the drugs that was laying around the house. And I have a grandfather getting more men. Grandfather got five. All the babies tested positive for heroin. So he got a 3 month old, 5 month old, 8 year old, and he needed to be educated that the reason the baby cries is because of the substance abuse. The reason the baby can't stop crying because of the substance that's in them. The reason the little 3 year old can't be still, can't not stop moving. I talked to a grandfather that was getting on a little grandson, and he said they say he's got autism, but he can count to 1,000. Well, with autism, there are certain things you can do that's abnormal that children just remember they got it, but just the social aspect is hard. So that's why two things Miss Simmons and Miss Wilkins said. Grandmamas out there, get involved. Find out what resources, what programs are out there. Stuff like the kinship care program in Wake County. But then with bags of goodies, we are a speakers platform with bags being a grandparent support. Go to that website, bagsgoodlife.org. And I'm going to tell you, coming very soon, we're going to be having a support group because sometimes you get your strength among numbers. United, being united has an impact, a value. Someone in that group may tell you something that you're going through, that they've already gone through, and they can help you. Sometimes being with other grandparents in your situation is even more powerful, more knowledgeable than any therapist. Don't y'all get mad at me, but I'm telling the truth. Any therapist, any coach, because they've been there, they know that. They have experienced it. So that's one of the things that's coming very soon for bags being a grandparent support, a support group. I just want to say thank you guys for your time this evening. I'm hoping that we will continue to have a relationship. I invite you to make sure that you give me your address because Bags of Goodies always send a thank you gift. Please visit the website. If it's anything else you would like Bags, because you're the expert. I'm going to tell you right now, you are the expert. People may not understand that. Grandparents, if you just getting your grandchild and you need somebody to talk to and you got some questions, go to bagsgoodlife@gmail.com. Send your questions and I'll get it to Miss Simmons and I'll get it to Mr. Wilkins and see what they have if they don't mind. If they don't mind, with permission. Is there any last thing that you all would like to say before we end our Bags of Goodies that it's just on your heart? Miss Simmons?
And there, like you said, I know quite a few people, not too many, who have their grandkids and they ask me all the time about different programs. I tell them about the kinship, I tell them about kids, and I tell them about respite. And also I tell them all the other things that have been shared with me. But like I say, resources that knowing people don't mind telling them. If people come to you and say, well, how do you do this? Where do you get this from? And I like our groups too, especially when our kids get together, because they know they're all in the same situation. But even though they're in the same, they're happy and they're playing and okay, well, we got this, It's just like, yeah, we're going through this, but look, we good. Even though we all got some hurt, because who doesn't want a mother and father? But I don't dwell on that, I put them dwell on that. And just keeping them positive. Let them be real about their hurts. Let them be real about their feelings. They're genuine, they're sincere. We cry together, but then we eat ice cream, we laugh together, but we got this. Just let the emotions out. Tell them it's okay.
Seek that support, seek that resources, and talk. Ask people, talk to people. Isolation is a killer. Isolation is a killer, grandmas. Mr. Wilkins?
First, I want to say thank you for having me here, and nice to meet you, Miss Simmons. And the reward of it outweighs the problems. It's at the beginning, it was difficult. Now, I can imagine them taking them from me. After you get used to it, it become a routine, and when you see the growth, it's worth it. So, do I like the way it happened? No. But now that I got it here, would I change it? No. I'm gonna see this through the end because I started something and I'm gonna finish it. So, you might be mad for a year, but by the time it takes about a year, but by the time it's all over, you get used to it and you love it. So I got her here. I know she's safe and I don't have to worry about her being abused or mistreated. So I can give up the rest of this years that I have to make sure that she's okay. I hope that another one don't come, but I give up these years. I give up these years.
I hear you. Well, again, thank you both for coming on. And like I said, I hope this is not the beginning and end of our paths crossing. I have really enjoyed talking with you all. I'm hoping to get more grandparents to come on, to get more vocal. There is a book coming out called Love Beyond All Understanding, meaning I don't know why my adult child turned out the way they did, but that has nothing to do with me taking in my grandchild. I have to do it because, as you said, Mr. Simmons, it's love beyond all understanding. We're going to say thank you for joining us on Bags of Goodies. Again, I'm Janita Spencer. I'm the chair and founder of Bags, being a grandparent support. When the bags of life get too heavy, we are here. Now check out the website. Like they both said, you got to seek those resources. You can't do it alone. You got to. And so I'm going to say good night.